Well, hi YouTube is right. This is my YouTube channel, and I look at the various things like unboxings, or film reviews, and whatever's on my mind. I've just finished a book, and you know when you finish reading a book, and you've just got to talk about it. So I'm talking about it. This book is Wintersong by S. Jae-Jones, and it is genius. It's Labyrinth. Yeah. It's Labyrinth reworked. The concept of Labyrinth reworked into a story set in Austria it never once said the date, so I had to do a bit of looking into this. But Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is mentioned, and mentioned is still alive. So I put this down somewhere, kind of like late 18th century, just for like the turn of the century. It's about this young girl called Liesel, real name Elizabeth, who lives with her sister Kathy and her parents in like this poor provincial town, and her brother Joseph is like a musical genius. Liesel is a composer, but no one recognises her talent because I'm just put this down, okay? No one recognises her talent because not the fact that she's a woman, she's very dismissive of herself. It's quite funny. She's the older sister, okay? She's like the more responsible older sister. Yet she is not perfect. And let me just quickly talk about Labyrinth, because this is connected to Labyrinth. Now Labyrinth, the original Labyrinth, directed by Jim Henson, and stars a screenplay by Terry Jones, this producer George Lucas, starring Jennifer Connelly, who's very dismissive of this film that I've read, and obviously David Bowie, who plays Jae-Jones, the Goblin King. Okay, now this film was instrumental to myself growing up, because at the time there was very few female protagonists in fantasies. This was the one I grew up with. Okay, or that's actually signed by Brian Froud, who basically did all like these set designs, designed the goblins, and his son Toby played Baby Toby, which I am going to put a link into this, okay, down there, where you see grown up Toby Froud, who's now puppeteer himself, singing dance magic. It's just gorgeous, okay? When I met Brian Froud, I did actually say, that's my Blu-ray, when I met Brian Froud, I did actually say that if I was in that kind of situation, so the baby, Jeff, I'd be a Goblin King. So Goblin Queen, sorry. And he laughed and went, you know, I get that a lot. So Brian Froud is a top bloke. Talented because his creative, beautiful mind brought us Labyrinth, and we'd be forever grateful. So, let me talk about Wintersong. Now, Wintersong is a story about Liesel, whose musical talents are unappreciated, and she kind of hides her light behind her brother, her younger brother, who is kind of like being plucked from his obscurity to travel with his masters along Austria and Europe and everywhere else. But she has an obsession with the Goblin Grove and the Goblin King. This is where it gets interesting. Her sister, Kathy, the beautiful one, who's engaged to someone else who's boring, is kidnapped by the Goblin King, and Kathy offers her to take her place, to be the Goblin Queen. Parallels Labyrinth coming in here. What this author has done, S. Jae-Jones, let me put this book back down. She has taken the key themes of Labyrinth, things like the peach. The peach is mentioned quite early on. The peach, the tempting peach. The peach that tempts her sister but not herself. Lines are actually used, lines from Labyrinth. It is, an oubliette is mentioned, of all things. Going underground, okay, obviously a song as well. The Goblin Ball, if you will, is pretty much a parallel but a bit more detailed description of the one that Sarah indulges in Labyrinth. The kind of like dreamlike sequence, if you will, okay? And the famous line, I'm tired of living up to your expectations of me. That one line has fueled so much debate on what the hell Jae-Jones, or the Goblin King, was talking about. That's that Jae-Jones. What S. Jae-Jones has done is taken these key themes and worked them into the most magical, beautiful story. It's told from a first-person protagonist, but one thing I loved is this is very kind of problematic sometimes with fiction, because it's trying to explain things the way that feels natural and the way the audience will understand. This nails it perfectly. It's a rich, vivid world, and one thing I absolutely love is, regarding music, now I'm not musical at all, okay, I am not musical, but you don't need to be, it's the emotions behind the music. Liesel, Elizabeth, let's keep calling her Elizabeth, she's a lyrical genius, but she hides her She hides a fire. She hides who she is. And then she has this opportunity to become the Goblin Queen and to fall in love with the Goblin King. Now, there's some parallels coming in with the original Labyrinth, or the Jim Henson Labyrinth. But there's other themes coming in too. It's Beauty and the Beast. It's a bit of Phantom of the Opera. And let me just talk about now about the Goblin King, okay? This is where the genius comes in, because everything is from Elizabeth's point of view. We're seeing her describe him. She never goes into deep detail, and that's important, because obviously growing up with the Bowie version or anything like that, you project what you imagine her to see. He's not particularly that tall, but he's kind of magical, but he's not overly so. He's like a human, but he's got that little bit extra. And the thing is, obviously, I've seen this version many times, okay? I didn't see the Goblin King, okay, who doesn't actually have a name, that's important in the story, as David Bowie. If I could see a fictional counterpart to him, I imagine the Wizard Hal from Diana Wynne Jones's Howl's Moving Castle. That's exactly what I got. Now, so it takes these archetypes of Labyrinth and kind of reworks them into this beautiful story, but in a way it never feels forced. As a fan of Labyrinth, I can quote Labyrinth quite well, even a commentary in some places too. It takes these things and kind of works them in a way that feels so natural. It never feels forced. It's taken out influences from Labyrinth, but so many other details as well. It's incredible. It really is. Now, one thing I loved is this. Now, in one of the documentaries or in the commentary, it talks about Jareth being the Goblin King, okay? But mentions being the Goblin King is his job. Who is this mystery man? Who's his character? And that's for us, through Liesl, to try to explain or try to find out. This kind of exploration. And it's kind of like this detail between the soul and the body, if you will. The kind of who you are and who you wish to be. It's what saying her name is Liesl as her nickname. Her real name is Elizabeth. He calls her Elizabeth. He helps her mature, helps her grow up. He finds this spark within her. But obviously, this is not the first time the Goblin King has been looking for a wife, and candles burn out quicker after they're lit. And that spark burns brighter. Just saying, that's all I'm going to really say. Okay? So, this book is fantastic. It is, how many words? 511 pages long. I devoured it. This is a week. Okay, in between everything else going on in my life and my dissertation, I had to finish this book. I first heard about it because I actually got a signed one in a Limit box, and as it's signed, obviously I don't read my signed books, and I did the old coffee. Yes, the whole kind of coffee argument. So I was so impressed with this book. It is beautifully rendered, beautifully detailed, and it's magical. It really is. Now, funny enough, while I was reading this, I was imagining it obviously parallels with Howl's Moving Castle, because Liesl is described, Elizabeth is described as, you know, quite average height. She's a brunette. She's average looking. Now, in Japan, Labyrinth is very popular in Japan. There was a manga called Return to the Labyrinth, and it literally takes Labyrinth, and it's like a sequel to it. As I was reading this, I started to imagine, as you do, okay, due to the vivid descriptions and the detail and the rendering and the exploration and the characters, I started to imagine a Ghibli film. Yeah, similar to Howl's Moving Castle. They do fantasy very well, and obviously female protagonists. I would kill for Studio Ghibli to do adaptation of Wintersong, and this needs a sequel. One thing about this is the way it ends. I'm not going to spoil how it ends, but the choice between soul and body, the spark and the flame, the choices we have to make to save ourselves or save the ones that we love. I need to see this as a film. This film rights need to be snapped up for this, and this needs a sequel. because it left me sitting there thinking, I need to read some more of this world and these descriptions. It is physically that marvellous. It is a marvellous book. It is a fantastic author, Jae-Jones. And one thing I loved is it does not at any point talk down to the audience. With books like this, sometimes you need reams and reams of exposition. But with this, you don't. I'm not an expert in music. I don't know, again, any music at all. But you didn't need to. It was the emotions of the music that was important. So this is a shout out to Wintersong by Jae-Jones, which needs a sequel. Please. Film rights need to be sold. This needs to be on the big screen, because this, as a continuation or an inspiration of Labyrinth, this is perfection. Thank you so much for watching this. So sign off, YouTubers, and take care. Bye now.